Welcome to this beautiful now on this gorgeous day of the autumn equinox and the opening of gateways. I get this story today starts with this. Let's give you a little look at it closer. I was looking on the internet for a particular piece of jade. In all my reincarnation experiences, this piece of jade has been there through all of them. I know exactly what it looks like and I'll know it when I see it. So I was scanning all the jade images looking for it and I didn't find it, but I found this and found an instant resonance with it. It just spoke to me. And not only that, but it was in a clearance sale and $5 from Hong Kong all the way to Wales in Britain. And $5 postage, and it left on Friday and arrived on the Monday. Absolutely brilliant. And that's supplies by Cindy at Etsy. Absolutely fantastic, and I'm so pleased to have it. And I don't know if you can see it's got all the little dimples on it. Anyway, I started feeling spacey as soon as I put it on. I had sonics happening and all sorts of strange feelings, and last night I dreamt that some of the dimples lit up in order to be pressed, and when I pressed them a dimensional gateway opened. So when I got up in the morning I looked at it and nothing came alive, but some of the dimples looked different, so I pressed them in that order, in the same order that I'd seen in my dream, and felt a wave of something flowing through me. Right, that bit so far. Now I've also been working with the number field and my Dex cube, Dex square, the formulas that go with that, and visualizations with that. And I was thinking about all that and surfing through dimensions and infinity in meditation, and suddenly got a realization that is, I can't put it into words, but it's so profound. I was on the, suddenly I was on the verge of nausea, on the verge of tears, on the verge of laughter, and yet with this immense peace running through me. As I talk about it now, my body's just flushed with energy. Wow, I'm tingling all over. Right, an indescribable thing that I'm going to attempt to describe. So I saw the whole image as one, but I'll have to break it down into bits because that's the nature of words. They start here and propagate. So we start with the trusty old paint stick again, and we start with the void, which undeniably must be one, so we instantly have a duality which instantly causes a dimension, represented by the length of, by the straightness of the stick, and the difference between the void and the one represented by the distance across the stick. And if you imagine this is all that there is, and seeing as the one is everything that is and the void is everything that isn't, there isn't actually anything outside this that we can define. However, the one thing that we do define is the fact that from here to here has a median balance point. And that makes that rather special. And not only that, but in a ring around here, there is a ring that is equally distant from the two ends as well. So it's not just the middle, but that automatically creates a plane. Now, these are the two extremes, so the plane represents what we would know as zero, not to be confused with the void, which in this case is minus infinity and this is plus infinity. So there's this plane of zero, of nothing, and in it there is something, this has got size, but imagine this is infinitesimally thin, a stick so thin it almost doesn't exist, but it's infinitely long. Now, the very fact of its existence, this represents, now we're gone from the void and the one to nothing and something, one something. And because this exists, as we saw by seeing the circle of equal distance, there is now the proximity to this. So what is 0 becomes proximal, and so that creates another identity. And that identity propagates very much like the Pascal's triangle, only we're propagating from 0, from nothing, from being an infinitesimally small thing. If you imagine a cross section here, we're propagating from being infinitesimal through infinity. Now, an infinitesimal thing times infinity ends up being something. And the propagation is in the same numerical sequence as Pascal's triangle, or Dex square, as I term it. And as it comes close to a certain point, which if we imagine this is the infinite naught, we propagate the infinite, the infinite naught. We propagate infinitely, and we're expanding at the rate of the golden mean. We're also expanding geometrically at the rate of 2 to the power of x, and we're also expanding additively, not just in terms of 1, 2, 3, but also in terms of triangular expansion of being 1 number, 3 numbers, 6 numbers, 10 numbers. There's a triangle expansion, additive expansion, adding another row to the triangle each time, but also tetrahedral expansion, 1, 4, 10, and hypertetrahedral expansion, because why should there be any limit on dimensions? There's nothing here that says there's any limit to the dimensions, so the Dex square can be defined as the infinite expansion of hyperdimensional structures. So at that median point, which from our point of view we recognize as the 0, and in my charts of Dex square I've identified this point in the middle as the point of paradox. From that point, from being a flat plane of 0 populated by many infinitesimally small things, transcends that point of infinity times the infinitesimal, and suddenly becomes something, and that something is what we experience here. And if you look at my charts, which I'll link to from the video, if we have the void at this end, which I've identified in another chart, also included as being the void, knowing the void, and here we are being the one, knowing the one. We've also got the other 2 infinities, because this is spread from here in both directions. Those other 2 infinities are waves that get the waves the right way round, waves that way round, that propagate towards here, and as they intersect, they create a great wave. So these waves are in a field of nothing, and they're going up and down, and collectively they add up to nothing. This entire field over here collectively adds up to nothing, but when the whole lot collides as one, we get something that adds up to something. This is a little bit like 1 squared being 1 and minus 1 squared being 1 as well. The minus and the plus both become positive and create this wave of existence that we experience. I just relate that I've steered a 70-foot narrowboat down a canal, and if you look forwards you see the bow wave. As the bow hits the water, a wave is propagated diagonally. It hits the sides of the canal and then bounces back, and you look behind you, and about a boat's length behind you, as these 2 waves collide again, there's a pillar of water that just follows you along the canal. That pillar of water is where the waves collide and reproduce the same wave that the boat started in the beginning. So in the same way, these waves colliding produce this immense wave of reality that we experience. There is another reason for this stick. We're going to use it sonically in a minute. Is there anything else to say in there? Okay, we'll go on to the sound, because while I was in the meditation, as well as seeing the visuals, I was hearing the logos, the sound, the song celestial, the choir invisible, or invisible as Monty Python would say. And for those that don't know it yet, it's the sound of silence. If you sit in absolute perfect silence, what you hear is that sound. And when I first heard it, I thought it was tinnitus. And then after a while I thought, well, no, it's not tinnitus, it's like the amplifier hum of the mind, in the mind creating the sound in the head, ticking over, creating the amplifier hum. And then once, some years ago now, in deep meditation, rather than just being in the ears, suddenly I had the sound right in the top of my skull, absolutely piercing and penetrating. And in retrospect, I guess that was the crown chakra opening. So now we have the three sounds, and they create a complete three-dimensional sound that I hear. And some years ago I also noticed that when there was a sound down here, that we've got the continuous sound of the logos and a blip of sound down here, and in between the two was if you like, a mirror of the logos, but with a hole in it, and the hole was the same size as the sound that was down here. So although the logos is continuous, there is another representation of it in which part of it, if you like, drops out and becomes the sound that we actually experience down here. And today I saw that, heard that even further, that I saw from the if you like, the straight line of the logos, the continuity of sound, I could hear and see the perturbations, like we saw the perturbations coming across the void. Those perturbations increasing to the point that there was a disruption, a disconnection, where the perturbations became infinite and a break occurred. And then as that gap, if you like, propagated downwards, either side of the gap there is still perturbations. We experience the gap as sound in the real mundane world, and it still has perturbations, which is why when you hear a pattern of sound, there is an expectation of another sound to come after it, and it's that nature that musicians play with. They set up an expectation of a sound to follow, which is held in the resonance that happens between the gaps of the notes. They set up an expectation, and they do one or two things, well, one or three things. They can hit that expectation dead on, in which case it's just a sense of being and rightness. They can lead and drop the note in before you're expecting it, in which case there's a sense of shock because it's caught you by surprise. Or they can trail and drop the note in after you're expecting it, so there's that sense of expectation of waiting and yearning and longing. And I've always seen that also mirrored in the major key and the minor key. The minor key has this sense of yearning to it, and the major key has this sense of energy to it. I was also going to remember that I was also going to talk more about the logos, the sound of silence. That silence is the loudest thing that there is. Because once you can hear that sound of silence, it doesn't matter how loud the noise is. You can be in the middle of an absolutely deafening rock concert, and you can still hear the sound of silence. Once you can recognize it, it's louder than anything that ever is, because it's always there, all of it, and we're only ever hearing the gap. So the totality is always greater than anything that we experience. And especially in the three-dimensional form, that's where you start hearing energies changing. As you can also see those energies changing in the inner light, and feel those energies through your body. If you're sensitive, you can feel waves of energy moving around you. You can feel people around you. Perhaps easiest if a car passes you very fast. Woof, you can feel the energy of it going past. Even if you're cocooned in your own car, you're not feeling and you've got your windows up, you're not feeling the draft of the car, you're feeling the energy of it going past. And in a subtle form, that happens when anyone walks around, and when anything moves, in fact, and even when people have emotions, and that inner sense of feeling in the body can extend and feel all sorts of things around you. And also with that, if you take your hand and just move it ever so slowly, you can move it slower than that if you like. This isn't the same hand over here as it was over there. The hand is recreated in every single moment. And if you move it very slowly, you can feel it recreating. You can feel the granularity of reality, like a tingle in your hands, and you move it a little bit faster and you can feel it moving through the resonant field. I'll talk about this more in my work on cadenza and movement, which I'm obviously going to do another video on now I've mentioned it, which adds to all the stuff we know about yoga and calisthenics and Tai Chi and all that sort of stuff. Adds on top of that this notion of the speed and how that makes a difference, and how it can be used to create relaxation and stretch muscles and do things a bit beyond what all the other systems do. So we've started with nothing and we've achieved everything, which is, I guess, what I mostly intended to do with this video. And as I say, this is the equinox, a time of opening of portals, and for me a portal did change. When I started writing it up, there was this incredibly strong sense of deja vu. I already knew I was going to do it and had dreamt that I'd done it. If anyone's worried that I might be hurting the stick when I do that, I've talked to it and it's quite fine with that. This in concrete doesn't damage. So, good day for me, full of joy, full of love, loving you all out there. Blessings to everyone. I love you. Bye.